warning that we may be at the cusp of a nuclear conflict starting on the Korean Peninsula. Here in the New York Times today, in the Washington Times today. Here now is Assistant Secretary of Defense under President Reagan, Frank Gaffney, now the President of the Center for Security Policy. Mr. Gaffney, thanks so much for joining us.
Happy to do it, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
What should we do right now about this situation?
Well, it's very interesting what the Obama administration is doing, without my counsel, and frankly, it's a little surprising given its past practice. It is behaving as though it may be actually trying to provoke this crisis with North Korea, or at least not yielding in the face of the various provocations. Why? Because we're sending carriers,
because we are actually sending stealth fighters, etc.?
Well, there have been a number of things. We proceeded with long-planned military exercises. In the past, there's been a tendency to cancel them when the North Koreans complained. We've sent B-2 bombers that dropped dummy bombs in the South Korean part of the peninsula. We've sent F-22s, our most advanced stealth fighters. We've sent, as you mentioned now, destroyers with missile defense capabilities. And we've also signed a pact with the South Koreans to back them up if there is any forceful response by them to the kinds of provocations that have taken place in the past and have not been met by force in response. So these are all steps that, I don't know, maybe have at their heart the hope that by provoking a crisis, they may actually be achieving something I happen to believe is long overdue, an effort to bring down this Kim dynasty in North Korea by creating conditions under which Kim Jong Un is over the side.
You support the administration being tough on North Korea and taking because in the past it's been, let's give them some carrots, they'll stop running the nuclear plant if we give them aid, et cetera, et cetera. You don't support that. This is a better way?
Under successive administrations, it didn't begin with this one. Previous administrations have done the same thing of trying to appease the North Koreans. And we're in the state we're in today, where we have a North Korean regime in the hands of an apparently pretty unstable young man, armed with nuclear weapons, clearly seeing it as a cash crop, as they do all of their weapons, their missiles and so on, to sell to the Iranians, to sell to perhaps other buyers elsewhere. And this is a formula for conflict. As I say, I'm afraid perhaps nuclear conflict if it is allowed to metastasize even further. So this is sort of bringing it to a head. It's a risky business, to be sure, and I'm not even certain that this is what the administration has in mind, but it's the best explanation I can come up with for what is very different behavior than it's engaged in heretofore.
Well, so let's play this out then. What do you think the chances are that this little young petulant regent, as I like to talk about him, could actually...
Nice turn of phrase.
Could actually fire off a nuclear weapon? My thought has always been that the minute he does that, he's lost his leverage, right? That brings on a complete and utter attack. It shuts down the entire country. It destroys part of the country, right? Because we will retaliate. South Korea will retaliate. The only thing he's got is the threat. The minute he uses it, he loses.
Yeah. Here's the real thrust of my piece in the Washington Times, Michelle. We are, unfortunately, not as well equipped to deal with this kind of danger as we would like to be. Our missile defenses are not what they should be, even with these ships being deployed to the region. We've not been building up our missile defenses as a matter of policy under the Obama administration. It has also pursued a policy of denuclearization of this country that is not only manifested by cuts in our forces, but in allowing them basically to become obsolete, to atrophy. And I'm concerned, and this was written up, by the way, in the Wall Street Journal front page yesterday, the South Koreans are concerned that we need to have shows of our nuclear deterrent, which they consider to be a vital part of their defensive posture, because perhaps the North Koreans do not take those sorts of threats that you've just mentioned credibly. So this is a perilous situation. I personally hope that the administration will continue to put pressure on young Kim Jong Un, and if it does, there's a distinct possibility, it seems to me, that the military will dispense with him and his dynasty. But whether that will lead to a new opportunity for North Korea, perhaps to become one with South Korea on peaceable terms, very much remains to be seen, but it's certainly what we should be striving for.
Frank Gaffney, thanks so much for your insights tonight. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right.